Okay, well, welcome everyone to our study research information session for graduate students here at Baylor. I'm very happy that you all have joined us. And I'm not sure who went to our information session last week or not, but that gave just sort of for those of you that weren't there, that it was in conjunction with Fulbright folks, and they gave an overview of the awards, and then we had a little breakout session with those Baylor specific. And so today's goal is to focus on one of those awards, the Study Research Award, the other award being the English Teaching Assistant Award. These are at least the two main awards, Fulbright Awards. And so I'm just going to give some information, further information about the award. Should say maybe it's not further information. I'm going to reiterate just a few things since a lot of information was thrown at those that were there in the information session. And I'm going to show you some resources that we have both on the Fulbright site, which I'm sure you checked out, but we also have a Baylor Fulbright site too that I'm going to share with you. So, but a cool thing about today, we had over 200 people on that call. Just from Baylor, and there were people from other institutions too. But there are only, let's see, there are 5 of you and 6 of us total. So that's great. We have a nice small group here. And so this will, I was already planning on having quite a bit of space for some questions and answers. And so we're going to have plenty of space for that. And that's great to have a smaller group that will be able to, accommodate that. Before I jump into things though, I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. So my name is Daniel Benyuski. I'm the Director of Major Fellowships and Awards at Baylor, and I work in the Office of Engaged Learning, and we work with students, undergraduate and graduate students and alums as well, across the campus and beyond. And we help folks maximize their education beyond the classroom is sort of the phrase that we use. And what that means is we work with students as they're pursuing their different academic endeavors beyond the classroom. So the Fulbright is one of these opportunities in which we work with students as they pursue that sort of academic work beyond the classroom. And as you know, the Fulbright is just a really cool award that can allow you to do some great things. I graduated with a PhD in English literature, so that's kind of my background, and now I'm in this world of awards and fellowships. So that's just a bit about me and our office. When I show you some of the resources, I'm going to point you to our website too. Just there are a couple things that may or may not be helpful, but I'll just can kind of give you some context for what we do. Okay, so let's. You know what? Let me actually take a step back and just, since we are a small group, we can do this. Who was at the session on Thursday? This is not an attendance sort of thing. There's no penalty for not going. That just helps inform me. I don't want to say reiterate things that you already know. So if maybe just a raise of hands, if you could tell me who was there. So it looks like 2 of you, and Nick, I can't see your video, so I don't know if you were there. Okay, so some of you were there and some of you were not. Well, I'll just continue saying what I was planning on saying. The first thing I'm going to note, and I'm actually going to start sharing my screen here. This is just helpful. I like visual aids. Visual aids are good. Okay, so here on the Fulbright U.S. student program page. So I know Grant from Fulbright talked about this in our last time, but just making sure that you meet those eligibility requirements, that's a helpful thing. The one main thing is that you must be a U.S. citizen. It's a program funded by the Department of State that's trying to pursue this kind of soft diplomacy, this mutual understanding between the U.S. and many different countries. So that is one thing that's sort of a foundational thing. And also as graduate students, as long as you don't have your PhD by the time you apply, which will be October of next year. So that's you still will fit within the eligibility requirements as long as that's the case. So those are, you can see there are some other things here, but that's maybe all I'm going to mention. Let's see. There are some dual citizen in this ineligibility section. If you're a dual citizen, there are some countries, these countries, where you can't be a dual citizen. But for the most part, that's fine to be a dual citizen. Let's see. That's all I'm going to say eligibility wise. And if there are questions about that, you can feel free to ask me during the Q&A session. Okay, I just wanted to give a I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. Just give you a few thoughts here about sort of defining this award, the Study Research Award. So there are really two options for the Study Research Award. There's the study path, and this is this allows you to pursue some sort of degree granting program in another country. As graduate students, that's likely not going to be the path that you'll take, but maybe it is. I don't know. The other half of that award is the research award, and this is where I'm guessing that your interests will lie. Again, that may not be true for everyone, but it allows you to do some sort of research. And in your application, you would propose, make a research proposal, and go and do this sort of research on a 9 or 10 month research stint in the host country. So in order to do that, you would connect with a research mentor, typically at a university, but it could be at an institute or something like this. And you would, there are a number of things that you would have to do, but they would sort of vouch for you and say, yes, this student's research plan it's a feasible plan, and I am really happy and willing to work with this person. And they will say this in what's called a letter of affiliation, and that's a part of your application for a research award, actually, and a study award. It's basically saying someone saying yes, you look forward to them and studying with you. So we really love working with any student on the Fulbright, but with graduate students, it's great because there are more possibilities for that research award, whereas with undergraduate students, it can be a sort of a steep hill to climb. Maybe you just haven't had that kind of research experience, but as graduate students, that's what you're doing. You're already doing that research. And for these study research awards, everyone, for the certain award for that country, everyone's in the same pot, competing against one another, graduate or undergraduate. So I'm really excited about that for y'all. That's all I'm going to say, I think, about the sort of definition of the awards themselves. Let me actually, rather than doing one, I'm changing my mind here. Rather than doing one Q&A session at the end, maybe I'll stop there and just see with eligibility and with the actual the study award or the research award, if there are any questions so far to this point. If not, that's fine. I'm going to go on and talk about some resources that are available on the Fulbright site, but then also on our site too. So right now, Rachel is on my screen, so she popped up, and so it looks like Rachel has a question. So what's your question, Rachel?
Mine's kind of a very specific question, because after the seminar last week, I went on and kind of did some research. And would you happen to know anything about looking at applying for a research or study grant in tandem with that National Geographic grant award that they have listed on the website?
Yeah, I do. So it's in tandem, and it's kind of hard to figure out. But you would apply for a Fulbright award, and then if you want to pursue the National Geographic Award, you apply for that in tandem with the Fulbright grant. And so it's added on to, you would go through the study research award process, and you would have to be granted a study research award. And then once that happens, you can be considered for the National Geographic Award. And it's sort of a combo deal at that point. So you can win a study research award and not win the National Geographic Award, but you can't just win the National Geographic Award. And I'm glad you asked this question. I'm going to double check right now. You can, the answer with any Fulbright question is it depends, because every award, every country has just a different little wrinkle. And so the National Geographic Award, you either can only apply for a study research award or an ETA to win that award. And I think it's a study research award, but I want to double check that. So let me, why am I not finding this? Let's see. They don't, I'm not sure why they don't have this up here. Yeah, usually they have the must have changed the website here. They usually have the different awards, but they don't have this up here right now. Sorry, I won't take too much more time here, but just let me, it looks like they're changing the website here. So they don't have this up.
Yeah.
That will be easy to figure out. They're launching next year's the application for this coming year is they're launching the application March 31st. So I'm guessing they're just kind of tweaking some things until then. I can already see some other changes that are there on the Fulbright website. I spend a lot of time on this website, so I know it's I know it like the back of my hand. So that's my answer right now. I'm 99% sure it's the study award.
Okay.
But
Thank you.
Yep. Do you have a follow-up question for that, or did that answer your question for the time being?
That pretty much answered my question for now. I feel like once they update, because I saw that they said that the application will be updated pretty soon. So I'll probably look into that more once it gets updated on the website.
Do you see, do you see the National Geographic Award on there right now? I'm not seeing
Yes, I saw it under, so when it's under applicants and types of awards.
Oh, they still, so okay, so they still have the type of award up there. Interesting.
But, and then it should be the center one, but on there it says that the 2021-2022 competition is now closed and that the other one will open in spring of 2021.
Okay.
It gives a little general overview.
Okay, they usually have it in that about drop down, but it's still in the select award type under the applicants will drop down, and it is listed under the study research award. So there you go. Unless they're going to change it for next year, you can do that in. So you'll apply for the study research award and then do the National Geographic Award as well. It's really cool, and it allows you to do this sort of multi-country approach if you want, whereas you can't do that with any other award really. And so it's also I think we'd have to look at the stats again, but I think it was last year there were 200 applicants and one winner. So it's hard to get, but it's not like the main thing you'd be applying for. You'd be applying for the study.
So okay, this is a slight follow-up question. Would you suggest then orienting my say I'm doing a research study, and I'm a photographer. So if I were to, but I'm getting my master's in comm. So if I were to do a research study over there, would you suggest submitting my application as if I wanted to do this multi-country approach, or would you suggest just doing it how I would have if I were applying to one country and then altering it for the National Geographic application?
Yes, the latter. I would say, you want to just apply for the study research award as if you were doing this communications research in Norway. I don't know, picking a random.
Pretty close.
Really? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And then we can then sort of hash out a plan for your for the National Geographic Award.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see, Aaron, I see you raising your hand?
Yes. I was looking up locations, and I found a specific site that I'd like to apply to. And I have a list of researchers that I'd be interested in working with. Would you say it's premature to contact them right now? I just want to get a feel of, because obviously I'd have to customize the research plan in conjunction with their current research. So is it premature to reach out to people right now?
No, it's not. That's great. That warms my heart. That's fantastic. That means, I mean, you're ready to go, and you know exactly what you want to do. So that's excellent. I guess the thing I would, once you get to the stage of asking for the letter of affiliation, I'll give more guidance on how to do that. Although, I don't know, as we work with a lot of undergraduate students on the Fulbright Award. That's, I think for graduate students are just a little bit more used to asking for such things, and perhaps you would need less guidance there. But really the initial things that you do when you reach out to an institute or university is you just ask research questions and say, hey, I'm interested in this research, and I see that you wrote this paper, or that you are doing this kind of research, and that's exactly what I want to do. Can you tell me more about this? Or ask a research question like, what's your discipline?
So I'm public health.
Okay.
I'm in the MPH program, and I'm specifically focused on maternal health.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at Australia and some of their programming.
Cool. So say, I'll just make this up. I don't know what angle of public health you're interested in, but say you're interested in infectious diseases and how this impacts maternal health. So you see this person that you would really want to work with, or people, reaching out to several people is, in fact, we encourage folks to begin and reach out to a number of folks. And if you get several letters of affiliation down the road from several people, that's a good thing. So yeah, but right now, just kind of feeling things out and saying, hey, I see you work on Zika virus, or whatever. Then you just ask a question about the kind of research they're doing. That's where you start, and that will help you get a feel, and it will help you establish a relationship with them so that you can, down the road, ask them for a letter of affiliation if it's a good fit. So yeah, I think that's outstanding.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions about either eligibility or just the Study Research Award itself before I move on and talk about some resources? And if you have questions, feel free to just unmute yourself and ask away. No? Okay, great. Well, let's move on. So I just want to point out a few helpful resources. I think I pointed some of these out on the breakout session on last Thursday. I can't remember if I did. It would make sense if I did, but just a couple of things that would be, several of these you've probably already done this, but I just want to point them out. So under the About link, this videos and tutorials. Under the Fulbright tutorials, they've got some really great videos here. So if you didn't go to the session on Thursday, I should mention this. We have a recording of that, and so I've just uploaded it to YouTube, and it takes a little bit for it to they have to verify it or something. So once it's on our YouTube channel, I'm then going to link it to our Fulbright website, which I'm going to show you in a second. So you will have access to that shortly. But they also have this overview. That's really helpful. And then there's this Study Research Award video that is that I recommend as well. There is, if you're doing there is an arts focus to the Study Research Award. So if anyone is doing that sort of focus, then this is the video that they would want to watch. Okay. And actually, let me take a step back here. and I just kind of want to get a poll here from y'all. Who here feels like they kind of have a good sense of the country or countries they're interested in? Yeah, let me if you could, I don't know, raise your hand. Or okay, so the three of you that I can see your video feed, y'all know where you want to go. Is there anyone that doesn't quite know where they want to go? I'm going to take that as a no. Tolu, is that a yes? I know where, I know we talked earlier in the week, so I kind of know that you kind of know where you want to go. Let me, I'll say this very briefly. I'll say this in case you're wanting to figure some things out a bit more. A helpful way to if you don't know where you want to go, looking at just looking at a map of the world and saying, okay, this is where I could do this research. This is where I could make a good case for this. That's one way to do that. Probably the best way to do that. If you can also start, if you're interested in public health and you want to find, well, what are the best public health programs in the world, and figuring out that way. I also noted there is a statistics tab up here. So you don't want to focus on stats as your primary sort of thing, but if you're looking at, say, going to an area that's really, really competitive, like the UK, it's probably the most competitive place, you'll want to look at this. You'll want to look at stats regardless, but it's going to be more of a secondary or tertiary sort of thing. You want to find a place that you want to go, and that's the most important thing. But you can see a lot of these, if you wanted to go to LSE, it'd be a great program, right? But the one person out of 101, and this isn't the stats from this previous year, it's the year before that I haven't awarded all the awards this year yet. So that would be, I would just, in the UK, you'd have to kind of, I don't know, I would certainly be guided by a little bit more by the stats, but for the UK, but for any award, it's a helpful thing to look at. Okay, other resources here. Maybe you've started looking at the application components here. This is a helpful thing to start getting familiar with. So there's kind of biographical data. There are a couple essays, 2 essays, a statement of grant purpose and the personal statement. There's a ton of information about both of those. I've already mentioned this letter of affiliation, so that's another component. If you're going to a country that requires there's a language requirement, filling out the foreign language equivalency form is going to be important. You're going to have 3 recommenders, and so people that can vouch for your research. Y'all know about, y'all have asked for recommendations in your career already, so you know the drill here. But I'm also happy to talk about that with you if that would be helpful. And then transcripts as well. Ethical requirements, I don't know what this is. Okay, yeah, like if you're not doing animal welfare type of requirements here, and I guess with human subjects. Okay. Yes, I'm now gonna kind of shift gears and point you in the direction of our website here. So we are the Office of Engaged Learning. There are a bunch of things we do here, but this is kind of my main domain. And this Fulbright page I'm about to show you I'll just click on this. Actually, before I do that, if you're ever, we have a searchable award database that is handy. And there are hundreds and hundreds of these awards that are available. Admittedly, a lot of these are sort of more for undergraduate students, but there are a bunch of opportunities for graduate students as well. So I just wanted to point that out. And if you're looking for other opportunities, this is one way to kind of find some of these things. Let's see. And if there's other opportunities that you find on here, you ever want to talk about them, I'm always glad to chat with you. So let's So under this major fellowships and awards link, we've got our Fulbright page. So a bunch of things on here. You've already been here. You've seen these videos. You're excited about Fulbright because of these videos. So we've got our timeline here. And I just want to reiterate this, that March 31st is going to be, we're going to ask you to commit to, if you know you want to apply, to commit to applying. If it happens after that, then of course we want to work with you. And so we made that deadline just so we want to know how we can help those that are applying best. And so that's why we've kind of made this this deadline. And so then you'll be working on your application through this, and through this time period, actually, and beyond August. But we have a pretty specific structure that we use, and we haven't introduced that yet. But once you get to this March 31st, we'll kind of introduce that structure of kind of having some specific deadlines about just meeting draft deadlines and things like this. You guys are graduate students. You know how to you make these deadlines on your own. So that might be less important for you, but we still feel like it's a helpful thing just to have that kind of structure to push you to draft these essays, and we're going to be giving you feedback along the way, all along the way on all aspects of your application. Those 2 essays are really the sort of the engine that drives the application. So you're just gonna get a ton of feedback on those, which is good. And then you'll complete the application by August 31st. I should say it's a near final draft, and we have that requirement because that still gives you months and months to develop a really strong application. But we will then have interviews, which are a part of the Fulbright process throughout the month of September. And so this allows your committee to have a near final draft to draw from. The main aims of the interview is not to weed people out. It's the 2 main aims. We will give you feedback on your application, and doing it in person. It's every year. We offer applicants lots and lots of feedback before that interview process, but just hearing. Being forced to talk about your project, and that process of talking about it ends up being this really enlightening thing. And so we'll hear stuff from applicants that we don't see in the application, and we're like, you need to put that in the application. That's amazing. So it's for feedback, and we also have to write a campus evaluation form and sing your praises, and so that allows us to do that. And then October 1st is that deadline. For the national deadlines later, it's October 12th, but we require you to finish by the 1st, and just be done. Don't have to worry about sprinting to that deadline of October 12th. Okay, so I also wanted to note that I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. So those aren't the only resource. We'll be adding some resources to our Fulbright page throughout the process. We also have a Canvas page that we will invite you to. So once you say, yes, I'm in, I'm going to apply, I can't wait. So next, when that happens, we'll add you to our Canvas page, and we have just a ton of examples from essays from previous winners, and letters of affiliation, and recommendation tips. Although you guys are pros, so you probably don't need that. But there's an overwhelming amount of resources that we put on there, and we have it on the Canvas page because we want it to be available for our Baylor applicants. So, all right, that's all I planned. I just wanted to give some kind of brief overviews, a brief overview of a number of things that I thought were important. But I really wanted to be able to. I just wanted to meet you and allow you to meet me in a little bit of a smaller group context. And and answer some of your questions. So I'll turn things back over to y'all. Do you have any further questions about the award you're interested in applying for, or just Fulbright in general? And go ahead and just unmute yourself and ask the question.
I kind of have a question, or just curiosity, really. What discipline would you say of Baylor students, I guess, is awarded the most often?
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, we have Baylor students that win sort of across the board. I guess university scholars is probably that's the largest amount of awards come from the USCOL program. It's an interdisciplinary program, and so I think that's one reason. They're just sort of top-notch, really bright students. But I do think that interdisciplinary aspect is really important. So we see students win from all kinds of different categories or disciplines. I'm thinking, so this year, you probably heard either Dr. Hogue or myself say these figures. We had 64 applicants this year, which was by far a record for us. And we have 23 finalists right now. And so I'm just trying to think through some of those. So a lot of for the study research awards, we have people are interested in public health. That's a big interest, especially during COVID.
I wonder why.
Yeah, right, exactly. What else do we have? I mean, we have a student who's interested in sort of theater and education and moral development. We have a student right now that's out on I'm now switching off to people who won the award. We have a student who's out on a conflict resolution master's degree in Israel, Tel Aviv. Let's see. I don't know why I'm blanking right now, but I'm blanking on our other folks. But we really do have folks that are sort of across the board discipline-wise.
Also specifically, just because I know the individual that you're talking about in Tel Aviv, it's Kyle DeRosier.
Yeah. Oh, cool. You know Kyle.
Yes. We worked a lot together around the international department when I was an undergrad at Baylor.
Awesome.
But so whenever you're looking at, because I know in the UK especially that it's a 1-year program, so this Fulbright, it really is just for like the 1 year sort of like master's kind of thing, you would say, if you're looking for the study aspect of it?
Yeah, that's a great question. It depends, but mostly yes. So generally speaking, it is the Fulbright funds a year, 9 to 10 months a year. So a 1-year master's program. There are a few awards that fund a 2-year master's. I can think of, I think there's one or maybe a couple in South Korea. There are a few that also fund PhDs. I'm thinking of one in South Korea as well. So there are some that they either specifically fund a 2-year master's or PhD, or they say you're guaranteed 1 year of funding and you can apply for a second, and people often get a second. But by and large, for that study award, it's 1 year. And so, you could do a 2-year program. You would just have to figure out funding for that. But for like in the UK, there are lots of 1-year awards. So, and that's more common outside the US. So there are other places that you can find those kinds of awards.
I know there's also there's options on there as well for like, I know the majority are like a 9 to 10 month long sort of academic year. Is there a way to look at even the shorter terms, or would you say those are more of that like ETA, or not ETA, but the teaching sort of section, or are there opportunities for like shorter research stints?
That's a good question. I'm not sure how to answer that exactly. I do know, I'm thinking of one award in particular. Actually, Grant mentioned it in the session last week. Greenland has their award is, I think it's a study or research award, not an ETA. It is for, I think, 5 months or something like that, because winters in Greenland are difficult. And so there are some shorter awards, but you're not, in your application, you're not applying, you're not saying, this is a good, I'd have to think about this actually, but I would advise students for the research award to take the full time that they're allotted. And it would, I think it would be a harder case to make to the committee if you were to say, I know I could get 9 months, but I only want to be here 4 months. And so you'd have to have a pretty good reason for that. And my guess is that the committee would be more apt to offer an award to someone who wants to take sort of full advantage, because a part of the award is this cultural exchange, this mutual understanding. And so the longer you're there, the more you're able to share your slice of US culture, and then to be receptive to the host country culture as well. So that'd be my answer right now. But if you're developing your plan, you're thinking, I actually would want to do a shorter term thing, the best thing would be to come talk to me about that. And then one of us would contact the Fulbright and say, hey, what does this sound like? So I'd probably reach out and just see what they say about that. But yeah, that's really cool that you know Kyle. He's I just had a Zoom chat with him, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and so it's never easy moving halfway across the world, especially during global pandemics. So there are challenges there, but it sounds like he's just thriving. And
yeah, it looks like he's exactly thriving is what I'm thinking. It's him.
Yeah. Have you been able to talk to him much?
I'm not like directly. We keep up with each other on social media.
Cool. Yeah, I always encourage, if I know of an applicant who's applying for a specific award that we've had a winner, I will try to connect those folks. Or if you know someone who's won a Fulbright, picking their brain about that is always it's a helpful thing. So I'd encourage you to chat with him at some point about the Fulbright. Other questions from other folks?
I was just wondering, once finalists are selected, do you know what like the stats are or the probability is for them to be awarded?
Yeah. So, I know once I don't know the stats for once you're made a finalist. I don't know those stats. I know the overall stats for awards typically, and just this is sort of broad strokes here, but in general, the study award, it's usually, there are some very, very, very competitive awards, and so some awards have a less than 1% acceptance rate, but sort of the ceiling is often 10% typically. That's kind of a very anecdotal kind of evidence there. I've not calculated anything, but just from looking at different awards, there are study research awards that have a much higher acceptance rate, 20, 30%, things like this. You have to factor in different things, like for a research award, graduate students are going to be more competitive than undergraduates typically, because they have had that experience researching. So, and I guess you could say the same thing for a study award too. So you have to factor things like that in with that. You don't see that. I don't know how to quantify that exactly, but that's just, I think, something to think about. But yeah, as far as the stats for the finalists, I don't know. For everyone just that doesn't know the full Fulbright process here. So you apply in the fall, you submit your application in the fall, and then in November and December, there's what's called a national screening committee. So on the US side of things, they make sort of the first cuts. And then those people that make it through, they're technically called semifinalists, but they're finalists. And then the final round of decision making, the applications are forwarded on to either the host country commission, they have a Fulbright commission themselves, or some countries, the program's not large enough to have a commission, so it's the decisions made at a US embassy level. And so so the host country ends up making those final decisions, and that's what the process looks like. So we're in the midst of that this year. Those decisions are made between February and June, but most decisions are made by April 15th. So we're still hearing, we haven't really heard a whole lot, but we're still hearing back about this year. Any other questions that
I have another question. Sorry. I saw on the timeline that it mentioned on there our Fulbright application mentor. Are we going to be working directly with both you and Dr. Hogue, or one or the other kind of situation?
Yeah. So all of the above and other things too. So we have a team of folks that you'll work with. You'll be working with Dr. Hogue, both Dr. Hogue and myself. And so we are the FPAs, the Fulbright program advisors here. So we're going to give you that sort of key Fulbright mentoring. And then we also have a team of mentors that will be, we'll be reading through some of your drafts, but we have a team of mentors that will be also be reading through drafts as well. And so they're going to provide further mentorship for your application, particularly your essays. But so we're trying to surround y'all with a sort of a whole host of mentors. But yeah, Dr. Hogue and I will be kind of key figures offering that kind of mentoring. And we're whenever you guys have questions about any of this Fulbright stuff, feel free to just reach out at any time, and emailing me is the best way to get a hold of me. Just email me, and I'm happy to chat about that. Just about any questions that you have, hop on Zoom or whatever, or just even answering questions via email. You know what? I'm going to end our recording here. So thanks for coming. See you guys. Stay on here after I stop recording.